At this moment, the main hall is already full of things, from clothes to weapons, there are all kinds of daily necessities, and all of them are rare treasures. For example, there are 8 sabers among them, each of which is a god-level sword. Can buy. Before Yi Ming could look away from the treasures, a young woman came from one side, and she stepped forward to pay respects, and said softly, "See you, young master." Yi Ming took a look at this woman. She was very dignified and graceful, with fair and delicate skin, round face with thin eyebrows, big and bright eyes, and a shy smile on her pretty face. Before he could ask, the woman introduced herself. The servant girl's name is Anur, and she was sent by the leader's wife to serve the young leader. Yi Ming was not used to having strangers by his side, so he waved his hand without thinking, and said, "No need." Anur waved her hand slightly behind her, and 24 beautiful maid-servants, about 13 or 14 years old, came over and stood respectfully beside Yi Ming. She smiled and said, "The madam of the leader has ordered that the slaves must serve the young leader. Please don't drive us away, otherwise the slaves will not be able to explain to the wife of the leader." Yi Ming was in a good mood seeing so many pleasing little beauties. After thinking about it, he nodded slowly. "Forget it, then you can arrange it yourself. Playing around is not enough." Anur said, Young master, your identity is different now from before. You should not be too casual in your attire and appearance, or you will easily be looked down upon by others." As she spoke, she picked out a set of clothes from the gifts and took Yi in front of Ming. He should be replaced. Yi Ming frowned. "Change now?" "Yes." The maid servants behind Anur immediately spread out a circle of yellow cloth to surround Yi Ming in the center, blocking their sight. 2 more maid servants came inside and helped him undress. Yi Ming didn't feel embarrassed. Rich families have the habit of raising maid servants. He remembered being served by them when he was a child. If his parents hadn't died, his childhood life should have been very comfortable. From the inside to the outside, Yi Ming put on brand new clothes. At this moment, the outermost piece is the precious garment, which can withstand the attack of Wu Sheng. Even if martial god took action against Yi Ming, this treasure garment could withstand 3 or 5 blows, and finally teleport Yi Ming to a safe place. At this moment, Yi Ming was wearing a crown of flowers, cloud boots on his feet, a treasure hanging on his waist, and a spirit orb wrapped around his hands. His temperament immediately changed, becoming personable, gentle, and extraordinary. Anur walked around him, nodded with satisfaction, and praised, "Young master is so good at giving birth to Yingwei, he is much better than that fake young master." Yi Ming couldn't hold back and asked, "The fake dragon Xiaobai was also served by you?" Anur shook her head. That man was so bold that he dared to pretend to be the young leader. In fact, from the very beginning, the teacher's wife felt that he was not close to him, and she often asked me where the young leader came from. It's just that he pretended too much. It looks like it, and the blood has been tested. Because of this reason, Madam didn't let me serve him, I just saw him in style. Yi Ming nodded, didn't ask any more questions, and said, "Take an inventory of your things, and then put them away. These things are all daily expenses, and he doesn't need to keep them all on him." Anur took out a storage ring, shook it lightly, and all the things in the room were taken into it, and then she said, "Young master, after today, people of all levels in the Qishan sect should still send congratulatory gifts. Less teachers mainly don't host a banquet for them." Yi Ming didn't have this patience, and said, "You can receive it, there is no need to hold a banquet." Anur nodded, and continued, "Young master, there is one more thing. There is someone from the 3 emperors' world, who seems to be a very important person, and the young master must go to greet him in person." Yi Ming's heart moved, and then he understood why Anur insisted on asking him to change clothes, and quickly asked, "Why didn't my father tell me about this? What is the identity of this person? What's the purpose?" "Just got the news." Anur said. According to the leader's wife, the group of people who came was not friendly, and the leader is in a very bad mood. "Young leader, you should be careful." Yi Ming knew that Atabai was the quasi-human emperor of the 3 sovereigns' world. With such a status, who would dare to have ill intentions towards him? Could it be the emperor and the emperor? Thinking of this, he hurried to Long Wanner's residence, wanting to ask the ins and outs. Unexpectedly, Long Wanner was not there. The servants said that she and the leader went to Qishan Temple to receive distinguished guests. Yi Ming didn't stop, and then went to the Qishan Temple where important guests were received. Qishan Temple is an important place of Qishanjiao, and it will never be opened for non-important things. Now the gate of the palace is wide open, and there are huge crowds of people in front of the palace. Yi Ming scanned casually, and found that half of the masters of Qishanjiao had arrived, and many of them were strong on the Tianyuan list. It can be seen that the scale of the reception this time is extremely high and very grand. In the middle of the main hall, a Tabai sat upright in the center, and at the bottom sat 3 strong men who were not weaker than him. These 3 people were all dressed in golden robes, like mountains and seas, extremely calm and extraordinary. Behind them, there were 12 young men standing straight, all of them keeping their eyes on their noses and their hearts, but they couldn't hide the sharpness of their bodies. Although there were a lot of people, the atmosphere at the scene was a bit dull. None of the people present spoke, and the atmosphere seemed very strange. When Yi Ming came to the hall, everyone looked at him. With a calm expression, he came to Atabai's side and bowed. "Father, mother." Atabai was sullen and silent at first, but he smiled when he saw Yi Ming, and introduced him humanely. "Xiaobai, these are the powerful officials of the 3 emperors' palace, Uncle Gong, Ji Sheng, and Ji Yulai, please meet me soon." Yi Ming bowed his hands in salute, and saw the 3 people standing like stone statues. The 3 of them didn't raise their eyelids at Yi Ming's meeting. The one in the middle is tall and thin, with a flute inserted obliquely in his waist. He smiled lightly and said, "Quasi-human emperor, is this son the illegitimate son you left in the Tianyuan continent according to the legend?" "Hehe, the Tianyuan continent is in a low-level civilized world. Even the geniuses here will only be slaves in our 3 emperors' world. If you just plant it at will, aren't you afraid that he will insult the blood of the emperor?" Yi Ming's expression turned ugly. These people not only despised him, but also despised Long Wanner, and even looked down on the entire Tianyuan continent. To put it bluntly, their real purpose was to insult Tabai. This made him feel very strange. Is the quasi-human emperor so worthless? How dare any 3 ministers wantonly offend him? He glanced at Tabai, who was expressionless and seemed not to care, only the muscles at the corners of his eyes twitched slightly. He immediately realized that Tabai should be very angry in his heart, but he forcibly suppressed it. At this moment, of course he knew what he should do. "Father, according to this person, are all the people in the 3 emperors great world geniuses?" He suddenly asked Tabai, and his tone was very serious and full of curiosity. Tabai glanced at him, and said lightly, "Not necessarily, but generally speaking, he is much better than the geniuses in Tianyuan continent. So among the young generation of the 3 emperors' world, is there anyone who can surpass his son?" Yi Ming's next words shocked the audience. Isn't this kid too arrogant? Of all the young talents in the 3 sovereigns' world, no one can surpass him. Tabai glanced at him again, and immediately understood Yi Ming's meaning. He didn't answer, but secretly said, "Xiaobai, don't get involved in this matter. As a father, you have your own way to deal with it." Yi Ming said resolutely, "Father is the quasi-human emperor. What are these 3 people? My son must slap them in the face. Otherwise, I won't be able to swallow this breath. As the saying goes, brothers fight tigers, and father and son fight in battle." Yi Ming's performance immediately made Tabai's heart warm, and the anger in his heart disappeared. He was silent for a moment, and finally said, "If you have confidence, beat the 12 juniors behind you. If you don't have confidence, shut up and don't say another word. This sentence is very clear. If you are really capable, you will kill the other party. If you are not capable, just be obedient and don't provoke the other party. Everything will be handled by you and me." Yi Ming showed a smile. He knew that Tabai agreed to him. On the other side, Yi Ming's arrogance made the 12 young people behind the 3 imperial officials extremely unhappy. One of them was dressed in white and had a cold gaze, staring at Yi Ming and said coldly, "You are too arrogant. Don't talk about other people, just me, I can crush you." This is what Yi Ming wanted. He took a step forward and asked, "Who are you, the minister who spoke just now?" The man proudly said, "He is my uncle. An important minister under the emperor's command, Lord Uncle Gong." Yi Ming nodded. "Okay. I'm going to challenge you now. If I lose, you can ask me to do anything." The man sneered contemptuously, and said word by word, "Very well, I choose to let you eat shit." After hearing this, Yi Ming was not only not angry, but smiled. "Don't worry, our warriors in Tianyuan continent are civilized people and will never let you eat shit. If you lose, you will slap Uncle Gong. Presumptuous. Bold. Court death." The 12 people were furious and reprimanded Yi Ming one after another. A few people even jumped out and wanted to do something to Yi Ming. However, as soon as they moved, hundreds of tyrannical divine thoughts locked them in, causing several young people to break out in cold sweat, not daring to act rashly, and stood back to their original positions obediently. Yi Ming was happy, and said, "You said that you have the confidence to crush me and can win easily, so why be afraid? Is it because you don't have the confidence to defeat me, so you are discouraged? It's easy to beat you." The man said angrily, "But you dare to insult the important ministers of the 3 emperors, your crime is unforgivable. Your uncle dared to insult the quasi-human emperor, so should he be guilty?" Yi Ming asked coldly. The other party was immediately speechless and could only hum heavily. Uncle Gong's previous words were indeed disrespectful to the human emperor. "Do you dare to accept the challenge? If you don't, just bow your head and shut up. I will treat you as if you don't exist." Yi Ming continued to provoke. The man glanced at his uncle, then took a deep breath, and said, "Very good. I will let you know what a real genius is. I want to teach you ants of Tianyuan to understand what is called gap. I can't wait." Yi Ming looked contemptuous, as if watching an idiot's funny performance. "My name is Gongshu too, you remember it?" After the words fell, the man appeared in the center of the hall with his hands behind his back, and looked at Yi Ming from the corner of his eyes. Yi Ming could feel that the other party's soul was very powerful, and his cultivation should be equivalent to that of a martial lord in Tianyuan continent, and he had already raised a soul. The other party should obviously sense that his cultivation is at the level of a martial lord, otherwise he wouldn't be so confident. It's not fair. An elder of Qi Tianzhou couldn't help protesting loudly. Young leader only has a martial lord level cultivation, while the other party has a Wu Zun level cultivation. It's not fair. It doesn't matter. Yi Ming waved his hand, indicating that it doesn't matter to the other party. Even if he is a martial artist, I still beat him. Don't forget, I am the young leader of Qishan sect. As soon as this remark came out, everyone stopped protesting. They all stared nervously at the scene and clenched their fists subconsciously. Yi Ming's victory or defeat is related to the reputation of the leader and the dignity of Qishanzhou. Everyone shares weal and woe with him and is closely related. I really don't know where your self-confidence comes from. Uncle Tu shook his head again and again, and said in a pitiful tone, "But it doesn't matter, I will let you recognize the reality and continue to be your aunt. There's a lot of nonsense, take it." Before the opponent started to fight, Yi Ming moved first. The real dragon's blood in his body was boiling and burning. All the secret crystals on Rui's magic robe were also activated by him, and a bridge of true power was even formed outside his body. He didn't plan to fight dozens of moves with the opponent, but was ready to kill the opponent as soon as he came up, so as to deter the coming people. Tianlong Baquan. The void seems to be burning, time and space are distorted, and the terrifying power forms a dense force field, which is everywhere. Uncle Tu's face was as pale as paper in an instant. He has experienced countless battles in his life, and his on-the-spot prediction ability is very accurate. He immediately concluded that Yi Ming's strength is far above him, which is super terrifying. 3 Emperor's Divine Fist, block it for me. His cry was a little hysterical, frantically mobilizing the power of the three emperors, and a circle of bright brilliance rose up, facing Yi Ming. The two civilizations collided with different forces, bursting out with brilliant brilliance, the void was shattered, and the aftermath of terror scattered in all directions. If the hall was not strong enough, it would have been destroyed at once. The brilliance went out, the loud noise disappeared, and the scene was dead silent. Yi Ming returned to the original place as if nothing happened, with a mocking expression on his face. As for that uncle too, his chest was sprayed with blood, he was lying on the ground on his back, dying, and he was seriously injured, and it was difficult for him to even move his fingers. Huh, what's wrong with you? Yi Ming looked surprised. I never thought that the geniuses of your three emperors' world are so fragile, am I too strong? The members of the Qi Tian sect all laughed, while the members of the three emperors looked ugly, and the remaining 11 youths lowered their heads deeply. They are all people with insight, and Yi Ming's strength is obvious to all. It would be impossible for any of them to receive that overbearing punch. That punch was too terrifying. How could it be a monk of his level able to issue? At this time Yi Ming asked Atabai again, Father, but I won. A serious person like Atabai couldn't help showing a smile, and said, Xiaobai, you won. Yi Ming breathed a sigh of relief, and said to his uncle who was lying on the ground with a dead face, You lost, go and smoke your uncle quickly. Remember, smoke louder for me. Puff. Uncle Tu suddenly spat out another mouthful of blood and passed out. Yi Ming was furious. He saw that the other party was unconscious on purpose. He wanted to step forward and kick a few times, but the important minister spoke up and shouted, Enough. Not enough. Yi Ming responded forcefully, This kid dares to insult my parents, I want to show him a good look. What do you want? The man was Uncle Tu's uncle and asked coldly. Yi Ming. As a big man of the three emperors, he should keep his word. Well, he doesn't have to smoke his uncle, but he has to give me compensation. What compensation do you want? The other party seemed relieved and asked. Yi Ming asked Atabai, Father, what is the currency that can be used in the three emperors' world? Atabai said, It's the three emperor coins, among which the value of the human emperor coin is equivalent to that of the Fadian God Spirit coin. Yi Ming nodded. That's good, you compensate me 1 trillion Earth Emperor coins. The man almost jumped up, and said angrily, The price of the Dawang coin is equivalent to that of the longevity coin, are you joking? Can't afford to pay. I don't want to act according to my promise, and I don't want to pay compensation. That's fine. He asked me to eat shit if I lost. I will return this condition to him and let him eat a pile of shit. After eating, the matter between us is over. Yi Ming was very tough, not retreating a step. Uncle Tu, who was originally comatose, had a twitch in his stomach, opened his eyes with a vomit, and looked at Uncle Gong pitifully. Uncle Gong's face was extremely gloomy, and despite 10,000 reluctances, he still began to show weakness to Atabai, the quasi-human emperor. Children bet, it's not true. Xiaobai, it's all right. Atabai obviously didn't want to tear his face apart, and finally said, Xiaobai, the three adults are all important ministers, so don't be rude. At this moment, the uninvited guests who were domineering at first completely disappeared, and the situation began to become favorable to Qi Tianzhao. So Yi Ming also obediently stood aside and listened to the conversation between the two parties. He knew that the topic would start soon. You three are here, why are you here? Atabai's question was simple and straightforward. Uncle Tu's uncle, Uncle Gong said. Earth Emperor heard that Tianyuan was in great chaos and all heroes rose together, so he sent us to help the Emperor to achieve great things. Atabai's expression remained the same. Oh, Uncle Gong. The Zunhuang, Tianyuan continent has a large population, which is very suitable for training fighters for the three emperors. The Dawang has an order, and I will assist the Zunhuang to control Tianyuan. What about after that? Atabai asked. Uncle Gong. Afterwards, the Tianyuan continent will be owned by the three emperors' world. Atabai. I understand. After that, he didn't say another word. Uncle Gong felt that he was bored, so he stood up and said, In 3 months' time, the three of us will lead an army to come. I hope that by then, the quasi-human emperor will be ready. After saying that, the three of them waved their sleeves, and all the three emperors disappeared, and they did not know what teleportation power they had used. The uninvited guest left, but the people in the hall talked a lot. An elder said, Master, the great world of three sovereigns wants the Kishan sect to work hard, and then they will take advantage of it. We absolutely cannot agree to such a thing. Yes, Master. The three emperors have bad intentions, and we, the Kishan sect, absolutely cannot agree. Atabai waved his hand. I have already made a decision on this matter, you all should step back. After everyone left, Atabai didn't care about the important affairs of the three emperors, but asked Yi Ming with a smile, your dragon Bakwan is really powerful that day. Yi Ming said, Father has won the prize. You have also seen the situation today. Although my father is the quasi-human emperor, he has limited power, and even the courtiers dare to disrespect me. If it weren't for this, I would not have left the three emperors' world and came to the Tianyuan continent instead. Open up the territory. Atabai sighed softly, the situation on the side of the three emperors is very complicated, and I can't go back for the time being. Yi Ming was curious. Father, why is this happening? Doesn't the quasi-emperor have any status? Atabai shook his head. That's not the case. Generally speaking, the quasi-human emperor and the human emperor have the same status. It's just that the father's foundation is shallow, and he may be abolished at any time. Naturally, those courtiers will not respect me, Yi Ming snorted. Sooner or later it will look good to them. You did a good job today, giving Weifu a face. Atabai patted Yi Ming on the shoulder. At the same time, Weifu also saw a glimmer of hope. A glimmer of hope. Yi Ming was puzzled. I have more than one son as a father, but you have the best qualifications. According to the tradition of the three emperors' world, the quasi-human emperor has the right to appoint a human crown prince. It is my father's decision to make you the crown prince and let you go to the three emperors' world except training. Atabai said. Yi Ming was stunned. The news was too sudden. He said, Father, won't I be excluded in the world of three emperors? Atabai said, Don't worry about this. The crown prince is the future of the three emperors, and the three emperors have independence. Even the emperor has no right to interfere with the establishment of an independent institution for cultivating princes. It can be said that before you succeed to the throne, no one can hurt you. Your turn. Are you going now? Yi Ming couldn't help asking. He didn't have time now. Of course not, it's not too late to go after you become a martial saint. Atabai said, if you don't become a martial saint, you are not qualified to be a prince. Yi Ming breathed a sigh of relief. In this way, he still has a lot of time to complete the unfinished things in his hand, so he is relieved now. Father, the three sovereigns will lead their troops here soon, what should our Kishan sect do? Underestimate Tianyuan continent too much, we just need to sit on the mountain and watch the tigers fight. Atabai said lightly, when they are hurt by others, they will naturally go back. Yi Ming felt that there was something else going on, but he didn't ask too much. He just said, Father's cultivation, at least, is the seventh realm of longevity, right? I don't know how strong the emperor and the emperor are. Atabai was silent for a moment, and said, the emperor of heaven and the emperor of earth are both at the ninth realm of longevity. As a father, I am still at the seventh realm. If I am also at the ninth realm of longevity, how dare those people disrespect me? Yi Ming was secretly shocked. The emperor of heaven and the emperor of earth were both at the ninth realm of longevity, and their strengths were comparable to those of Gu. Father, is it possible that among us humans, only Confucianists have the power of eternal state? Has the three emperors' great world ever appeared? He took the opportunity to raise some doubts. Atabai nodded. Actually, the first generation of the three emperors were all eternal realm powerhouses. They are all descendants of Emperor Pangu, and their strength is unpredictable. It is a pity that they disappeared suddenly, and their life and death are unknown. Otherwise, the three emperors, the great world has long been a super-civilized continent. Yi Ming asked curiously, can Father break through to the ninth realm of longevity? Atabai shook his head. It's hard to say. Opening parenthesis, closing parenthesis dot. The 8th level of longevity is a watershed, and many people are kept out. The 9th level is even more difficult, and less than one person succeeds. Whether you can succeed as a father depends on God's will. Immortal status is not only based on aptitude, but also depends on luck, and the power of fate in the dark. All this is too profound for Yi Ming, he said with a smile. Father will succeed, I have an intuition. Tabai was so happy, he touched Yi Ming's head affectionately, and said, Xiaobai, you are so similar to me back then. Yi Ming couldn't help rolling his eyes. Since that's the case, why did the fake Long Xiaobai stay in Qishanzhou for so long? Tabai was very embarrassed, and said, actually, as a father, I have doubts for a long time, but he is obviously my flesh and blood, so I have no way to doubt it. But your mother has alienated him from the beginning, it seems that her instinct is right. Yi Ming. By the way, father. Who is that Long Xiaobai? Tabai's face sank slightly, and he said, there is limited information in his memory, the only thing I can be sure of is that he is a member of the Emperor's family. Emperor. Yi Ming's eyes widened, the Emperor is a great power in the 9 realms of longevity. Is it necessary to use such a small trick? Things are not that simple. Tabai waved his hands again and again, the Emperor must have sensed something in the dark, otherwise he would not have done this. What can be changed if someone pretends to be me? Yi Ming was puzzled. Tabai smiled slightly, and said, this means that you may become a key figure in the future. In addition to your very good aptitude, you may have the opportunity to break through longevity, achieve eternity, and become a real emperor in the future. Yi Ming said hastily. Father is too much, I'm afraid I don't have much hope. No, your hope is far greater than being a father. Tabai looked very serious. The chance of achieving the 9 realms of longevity for my father is not great, and the future may be on you, you have to work hard. Yi Ming. Yes, father, don't worry, the child will not let you down. After bidding farewell to Tabai, Yi Mingfu returned to Xiaolong Hall. Since he had obtained the position of young leader, of course he would not waste such a good opportunity, and began to focus on cultivation after returning. Qi Tianzhou has a lot of resources, and they can use them at will, so it is best to practice here. In particular, he was about to practice the supreme skill, and the resources consumed in the later stage were even greater. At the beginning, when he practiced the first level of supreme skill, he relied on the power of pain, and the pain caused him to transform and achieve the supreme realm. The second level of Tai Shangji Zun Gong needs to be triggered by the power of demons, so now he needs a very evil and precious thing, the Soul Stone of Heavenly Demons. The Heavenly Demon Soul Stone is a condensed thing formed by the indestructible demonic soul after the death of the Heavenly Demon clan. It is very rare. The strength of a demon, even the weakest, can compete with the gods of Fatian. What's more, Yi Ming will need a lot of Sky Demon Stones this time. In the practice secret room, he told Anne what he needed. Anur was taken aback for a moment, but didn't say anything, and immediately turned around and went out to prepare. In less than a quarter of an hour, 300 Heavenly Demon Soul Stones of different grades were brought to Yi Ming. Young master, these are all the Heavenly Demon Soul Stones that can be collected so far. If you need more Heavenly Demon Soul Stones, you have to go to Tianweishan to buy them. Anur told the truth. You go to buy a lot right away, the more the better. In addition, if there are evil things, you have to buy more. Yi Ming confessed, and ordered Anur to leave, and began to practice hard. The second level of cultivation in Tai Shangji Zun Gong is to continuously absorb the power of heavenly demons to demonize the soul, and then derive a pure soul from the most demonic and evil environment, and the soul it condenses, the name is too unambiguous. This process is similar to the growth of a lotus flower, which emerges from the mud without being polluted. He took out a heavenly demon soul stone, and he refined it with his spiritual thoughts. In an instant, the soul stone turned into a cloud of magic and was inhaled by him in one gulp. Next, his spiritual world was suddenly occupied by demon energy, his mind was confused, and his thinking was unclear. Fortunately, he was running the Taishang Supreme Kung Fu, and that innate spirituality was immortal, like a lantern in a strong wind that was always shining. But when Anur left the secret practice room, she was frowning, and it was too precious to teach the main things less. The price of a low-level heavenly demon soul stone is at least 1 billion French coins, and the price of a high-level one is as high as tens of billions, or even hundreds of billions of French coins. What's more, the young leader still needs a lot of most evil things, and those things are priceless. Where can I buy them? She had no choice but to find the leader's wife and explain the situation. Although Long Wanner didn't know what her son wanted these things for, she still said, "Take my warrant and do it with all your strength, don't delay Xiaobai's practice." Long Wanner was in charge of the financial power. Anur breathed a sigh of relief when she spoke, took a group of experts, and happily went to Tianweishan to buy soul stones and evil things. Once Yi Ming practiced, he didn't know the changes of time at all. His thinking was completely immersed in nothingness, and quietly transformed. However, the magic power also caused him great pain, which was mental torture, making his life worse than death. 3 days later, he absorbed the second soul stone and continued to practice. Repeatedly, after 1 month, the 300 heavenly demon soul stones will be consumed. Fortunately, Anur brought more soul stones and a few most evil things at this time. The newly purchased heavenly demon soul stone is of a higher grade, so the price is naturally expensive. Several evil objects also have a lot of origin. One is the eyeball of the great Emperor Wangxi of the ancestral continent, the other is the head of the chaotic stone evil emperor in the chaos ancient world, and the last one is the soul of the evil lord of the 10 directions. In order to buy these things, Anur spent a lot of money, and Qi Tianzhao's treasury has lost a large part. With a steady stream of cultivation resources, Yi Ming soon had a breakthrough. In the second month, he absorbed all the demonic soul stones. In the third month, he had absorbed all the evil power of the 3 things into the spiritual world. At this moment, his spiritual world is filled with the power of demons, and that innate aura is almost extinguished, flickering on and off. The great mental pain made Yi Ming experience the feeling of reincarnation, which cannot be described in words. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, and on the 7th day, Yi Ming suddenly became sober. The aura expanded from one point and turned into a ball of bright light. Then, his pure young martial soul opened his eyes, shining immeasurable brilliance on the heaven and earth, refining all the power of demons, transforming them into pure energy, and all of them were absorbed by the martial soul. In an instant, Yi Ming felt a wonderful change in the level of the soul, and the soul seemed to resonate with the Tao of heaven and earth. Congratulations, Master, you have successfully advanced to the low-grade Taoist body. Bei Ming said suddenly. Yi Ming was surprised. Is it already a Taoist body? It seems that this Taishang Supreme Kung Fu is really extraordinary, and only the second level has such benefits. Bei Ming. Master can continue to practice in the future. Yi Ming. The next third level is too difficult, and now is not the time. Next, I will refine 2 more supernatural powers, and step into the level of manifesting the holy martial soul. There are 2 exercises in the inheritance of the blood family, namely Blood Soldier's Art and Blood Spirit Seal. Yi Ming has achieved Taoism, and his cultivation speed is unbelievably fast. In just a few days, he has cultivated 2 martial arts to a very high level, and refined a magical power, the blood-melting knife and the blood handprint respectively. So far, he has mastered enough powerful supernatural powers. The supernatural powers and martial soul are complete, and it will be a matter of course for him to advance to the holy martial soul. Manifesting the holy martial soul can allow the spirit to interfere with the material world, make the martial soul manifest in the human world, and create entities out of thin air. When he advanced, Yi Ming's martial soul suddenly had a mysterious power. This power communicated matter and energy, enabling the 2 to transform into each other, with infinite magic. With a thought in his mind, the martial soul appeared outside the body, turned into a sword, emitted immeasurable light, and made a slashing movement. He was enjoying himself. Bei Ming suddenly said, "The master should take this opportunity to gather the soul form." Soul shape. After the martial god, it is necessary to condense the god form, so that the lethality is greatly increased. In the Wujun stage, it is to condense the soul form, and the soul form is also the basis of the god form. Baiming explained, the more extraordinary the soul form, the more powerful it is. Powerful. Yi Ming asked. What kind of soul shape do I want to condense? The master has the blood of a real dragon. If you talk about the first soul form, it is naturally the dragon form. Intangible swordsmanship. The master is proficient in the way of the talisman array, and this second form can be the talisman array. The master is also proficient in the 5 elements sword code. The third form, the killing array, can be the 5 elements sword array. Baiming had a different opinion, saying, Master has practiced chaos calculus, although the calculus was devoured by Taiyi's magic, but they are all condensed into supernatural powers. Master can completely transform the 6 supernatural powers into a soul form. Yi Ming's heart moved, and he said, the talisman array, the inscription pattern, the eye of hope, the heavenly heart bead, the causal ring, and the arithmetic array, turn them all into gods. Baiming. That's right. The talisman array is based on the sword array, and the inscription pattern is based on the invisible sword. The remaining eyes of hope, Tianqin beads, karma ring, and calculation array also condense a soul shape. Come on, the master can not only have a powerful god form, but also further improve the Chaos Sutra. When the master condenses the god form, the 6 chapters of the Chaos Sutra will be merged into one and become the Chaos God form. Yi Ming thought for a while, nodded and said, it's not that you can't try your idea, but I'm not sure how powerful this chaotic calculation will be in the end. Let me make some calculations first. After all, he sat down cross-legged and used the 8-element arithmetic array to calculate the ultimate chaos. This calculation doesn't matter. After a while, he almost jumped up and shouted in shock, how is it possible? Baiming asked. The master's calculation result came out. Yi Ming said in amazement, the chaos algorithm can actually evolve infinitely. Baiming said, so, the current chaos algorithm is only the first level. Yi Ming nodded. That's right, there will be second order, third order, and even fourth order chaotic arithmetic, which is endless. From this point of view, I can indeed refine it into a soul shape. He immediately started to practice. The first thing to practice was the talisman formation restriction. He is already very proficient in the way of talisman formations, and what he has to consider at this moment is nothing more than what kind of talisman formations to create. 5 elements sword code, punishing god sword formation, great Zhaodian sword art, it seems that all of them can be used. After much consideration, he decided to use the Zushin sword formation as the foundation. The reason for this decision is that he has 4 divine swords in his hand, and they are powerful, so it would be a waste if they are not used. Yi Ming has cultivated the supernatural power of Zushenji, and this Zushenjian formation was easily built, and it took less than a day. The process is to use the martial soul to first manifest a tangible formation plate and formation flag, and then cooperate with the 4 swords to form the Zushenjian formation. There are 4 peerless swords hidden in the Shenshin sword formation. From a distance, it is just a misty sword light. However, once it is in operation, it will turn into a peerless sword array, beheading powerful enemies. In the second soul shape, Yi Ming did not choose the invisible sword, but took out a thin needle from the storage container. He took this needle out from the ear of the human head at the bottom of the lake. Although he didn't know its origin, he knew that it was so hard that it was far inferior to the invisible sword. Next, he wanted to engrave runes on this small needle by means of manifesting inscription patterns. The intangible sword was a little unhappy about this, and said, Master, why not me? Yi Ming said while inscribing the pattern, you are my weapon, so don't turn into a soul shape. This needle has an extraordinary history. Once it succeeds, its power will be incredible. Next, Yi Ming manifested himself with his soul power, engraving the thin needle. The first thing he inscribed was a set of wishful restraints. With this restraint, the needle can be big or small, long or short. In about half a day, the needle burst out with light, and when Yi Ming thought about it, it suddenly swelled and turned into a stick. The needle turned into a stick, and some details were revealed. It turned out that there was a natural inscription pattern on the stick, which was so mysterious that even Yi Ming couldn't understand it for a while. Yi Ming held the stick in his hand, feeling as if he was holding half of the world. With strong confidence spontaneously, he said in surprise, "This stick is so strange." Next, he continued to engrave more profound and complex soul shapes, which made the stick's power more powerful and its control more delicate. When the inscription pattern was over, a golden and powerful stick was born. It can be big or small, and it can change as you wish, becoming Yi Ming's second soul shape. Afterwards, he successfully condensed the remaining 4 soul shapes, among which the 3rd soul shape is the Tianyuan orb, the 4th soul shape is the Eye of Hope, the 5th soul shape is the causal ring, and the 6th soul shape is the magic calculation array. Among them, the calculation formation of the 6th soul shape is the most peculiar. From a distance, it is like a ball of rolling luck, infinitely mysterious. The power of the calculation array is limited, it basically cannot cause damage to the enemy, but it has powerful calculation power. With this magic array, his punches, kicks, knives and swords are all extremely precise, and he will never waste a single bit of strength to achieve the best effect. It took Yi Ming more than a month to condense the 6 soul shapes. When all the soul shapes were successfully condensed, he officially entered the level of the holy martial soul, and his strength was further improved. He originally wanted to continue to break through, but a major event happened to Qi Tianzhao, which made him have to leave the level. It turned out that the Tianyuan continent fell into chaos, and the Qishan sect was also taking the opportunity to enclose land in various places. Some places that originally belonged to the 5 dynasties were all controlled by the Qishan sect, but centipedes are dead but not stiff. The remaining prestige of the 5 dynasties is still there, and some relatives of the emperor, dignitaries and princes are still in control of various places, resulting in fierce conflicts with the Qishan sect. At the beginning, the forces of all parties tried their best to restrain themselves and be patient to avoid friction between the 2 sides. However, with the deepening of contact and the expansion of interests, finally some forces began to take action against Qi Tianzhao. The first to conflict with the Qishan sect was naturally the God Lord. He controlled a large area of the 5 dynasties and was the most powerful of all the forces. In addition, he holds the 8th level immortal fetus in his hand, and even the 4 great gods are unwilling to fight with him. The cause of the conflict was that the God Lord gathered forces from all over the world, formed a large army, and began to put down the various rebels of the later 2 dynasty. Some princes and nobles surrendered under his despotic power. In just a month or so, he controlled the fate of the Haodu dynasty. And then, the Divine Master immediately led his troops to the south to attack the Suzaku dynasty. Just at this time, Qi Tianzhao had already encircled a large number of lands in the Suzaku dynasty. One went north to expand, the other went south to encroach, and they naturally met together. Qishan Zhao's side does not have a large army, only some loose armed organizations. These forces were vulnerable to the elite army of gods, and quickly lost a large area of territory. In desperation, the Qishan leader could only lead a large number of god-level powerhouses to suppress it himself. Unexpectedly, this move shocked the God Master, who urged the avatar of the 8th realm of longevity to attack the masters of Qishan Zhao, killing the 8 gods on the spot. The Qishan leader never expected that the divine leader would be so disregarding the overall situation and the 4 great gods behind the Oriel, and would simply attack. Although there were 10,000 curses in his heart, he still had no choice but to make a move, and immediately fought a battle with the divine master. One is the 7th realm of longevity, and the other is the 8th realm of longevity. Qi Tianzhao was defeated and wounded by the God Lord, so he had to lead his army to retreat to the South China Sea. On the other hand, the Divine Lord commanded the army to quickly occupy the entire territory of the Suzaku dynasty. However, within the territory of the Suzaku dynasty, there is a heavenly god land, which canonized a large number of mountain god lands. Those mountain god lands have long been autonomous and are not under the jurisdiction of the dynasty. The Divine Lord's actions made Tongtian Shintu very angry, and immediately counterattacked. Overnight, a large number of soldiers turned their backs, and the army of the God Lord fell into chaos and almost lost its combat effectiveness. The Divine Master probably saw the power of Tongtianshan too, and signed a peace agreement with him, and both parties were not allowed to attack each other for 10 years. Therefore, the Divine Master bypassed the heavenly divine land and started to attack Qishan Island. When Yi Ming heard the news from Anur, he was very shocked, and said, "The God Lord is moving so fast, and now we are going to attack Qishanjiao." Yi Ming was woken up by Anur from the practice room. The latter looked worried and said, "Young master, the purpose of the god is very clear, that is to calm Qishan Island first, and then sweep down the small forces around, so as to rule the world. To establish the five elements god dynasty. Only then will he turn around and deal with the four great gods." Yi Ming. The four great gods should be able to see this, why didn't they stop it? The Divine Lord is at the 8th realm of longevity, equal to the second Gu biting Gu who wants to provoke him. Even if they can kill the Divine Master, they will pay a huge price. No one is willing to do that. Anur sighed softly. Yi Ming suddenly thought of something. Didn't the three emperors' world say that they would send people here? The God Lord came just in time, so let them send troops. That's why I asked the young leader to leave the customs. Anur looked worried. Someone from the three emperors' world came, and the other party asked the young leader to take up a military post in the army. Otherwise, they refused to support Qishan Island. Yi Ming sneered. What is the military position? I think you want to take me as a hostage. Anyone with a discerning eye can see it. What the teacher's wife means is that the young leader should not be allowed to pass by no matter what. That would be too dangerous. Yi Ming's heart moved, and he asked, "What does the leader mean?" Anur said. The leader rejected the envoy from the three emperors on the spot. Yi Ming was very surprised. In his expectation, Atabai should be a hero who his relatives did not recognize, and he would defend Long Xiaobai like this. Young master, right now our Qishan sect can only rely on ourselves, and now the whole sect is preparing for a big battle with that god master. Anur said. Yi Ming sneered. A big battle. Those so-called masters of the Tianyuan list joined the Qishanjiao because of the longevity pill. Now that the catastrophe is imminent, will they be willing to stay and work hard? Anur lowered her head. Young leader's eyes are as bright as a torch, and many people have already left openly. But the leader didn't make things difficult for them, and let them go and stay. Yi Ming said. Let's go, as long as you go, those kind of people can only share wealth and honor, not share adversity, and it will be harmful and useless to stay. After he finished speaking, he waved his hand and took Anur to see the leader Atabai. At this moment, Atabai didn't even have time to recuperate from his injuries, and he was discussing with everyone in Qishan Temple how to fight the enemy. Father, I would like to serve in the army of the three emperors. From a distance, Yi Ming said loudly before entering the palace. Atabai frowned, said, Xiaobai, aren't you in retreat? Yi Ming said with a smile, if there is a retreat, there will be an exit. The child has just condensed the soul shape, so he will exit. Atabai glanced at Anur, as if he was extremely dissatisfied. He could clearly see that it was Anur who called the young leader out of the customs. Anur lowered her head aggrievedly. She didn't think too much, she just wanted to let the young master know the situation. Yi Ming quickly said, Father, don't worry, the people of the three emperors' world are doing this because they want me to be a hostage. The God Lord is fierce and powerful, and we just use the three emperors' knife to deal with him. Atabai was stunned. Your thinking is too simple, you don't know what's going on here at all. You don't need to ask about the matter of dealing with the God Lord. Yi Ming has his own plans. Now that he has finally become the young master, he doesn't want to watch Qi Tianjiao collapse, and he will help him no matter what. In addition, the major forces are now intertwined. If they are well manipulated, they may be able to form a situation that is beneficial to the Haoshan sect. The most important thing is that he has the confidence to protect himself and not become a victim of the moment. But Atabai's words made him a little stunned. Could it be that the three sovereigns' world didn't just want to take him as a hostage? Although he was puzzled, he still said, "Father, my safety alone is nothing. As long as Qi Tianzhao can be kept, the child is willing to take risks." Fart. You are my son. Your safety is more important than Qi Tianzhao. Atabai cursed, his face very ugly. As soon as this remark came out, everyone in Qishanzhao was stunned, even Yiming was also stunned. This Atabai's performance was completely unexpected. He should win people's hearts at this time, but he actually said it so bluntly. However, there was warmth in Yiming's heart. Although he was not the real Long Xiaobai, he felt the same. "Father, I must go, I promise, I will come back safely." Yiming still insisted, "Tabai, let Xiaobai go. Don't you see, his temperament is too much like yours. Even if you don't let him go now, he will sneak away." The person who spoke was Long Waner. She looking at Yiming's expression, there was pride. Yiming smiled. Mother is right, father will promise the child. Atabai frowned, and asked, "Then you tell Weifu, why do you protect yourself in the chaos?" Yiming said lightly, "I dare not say that I can kill the Valkyrie, but if I escape from the Valkyrie's pursuit, I have full confidence. In the Chaos Army, I am just an insignificant person, who will target me? So said that the military seems dangerous to me, but it is actually very safe." Atabai thought for a while, and suddenly opened his mouth and spit out a golden light. That golden light condensed into a golden talisman, emitting brilliant flames, unpredictable power. Before Yiming could ask, he slapped it into his head. The next moment, Yiming felt a mysterious talisman appear in his spiritual world, suppressing everything. This is the life-protecting talisman of the three emperors. It is the life-saving thing of the three emperors. Last time, if it wasn't for it, my father would have died at the hands of the God Lord. You are going to danger, and you can use this to save your life. Atabai secretly transmitted voice Dao, explain the origin of this talisman one by one. Yiming was taken aback, knowing the preciousness of this talisman, and said, "No way. This talisman is more useful on my father than on me, I can't take it. If you don't want it, you can't go to the three emperors' army." Atabai's tone could not be disobeyed. Yiming had no choice but to nod. Only then was Atabai satisfied, and said via voice transmission, "Let's go to the army of the three emperors, and the other party will definitely use means to control you. You don't have to worry, this three emperors life-saving talisman can dispel all evil and secret arts." Speaking of this, he said loudly, "Xiaobai, since you are willing to go, you can take care of yourself when you get there." Yiming also said loudly, "It's the father, the child knows. Okay, go down and get ready. An envoy will pick you up tomorrow morning." After finishing speaking, he waved Yiming back. Leaving the Temple of Heaven, Long Waner also came out. She took Yiming's hand and said anxiously, "Xiaobai, this is a dangerous place, you must protect yourself." Yiming said with a smile, "Don't worry, mother, I will definitely come back in full. Okay, my mother has prepared things for you, and you take them all." Then, he handed Yiming a storage ring. After receiving the storage ring, Yiming looked at it for a while, and was taken aback immediately, and shouted, "Mom, have you moved all the warehouses in?" It turned out that the storage ring contained everything: military equipment, god coins, formations, puppets, talisman soldiers, and even a large number of daily necessities. He couldn't even estimate the value of these things, they were priceless. Long Waner said, "When you go out, you naturally need to prepare a lot. What if you need it? There are three most important things in it. The first thing is 48 puppets of gods. These 48 puppets are your father's treasure. All the puppets have the fighting power of the gods in the 9 realms of Fatian. 48 puppets can trap and kill people below the 3rd realm of longevity. The second is 5 million rune soldiers. These rune soldiers are easy to control. With them the protection, in any situation, can keep you safe and escape. The third is the most important. It is a top battleship of the three emperors' world, named Tianlong ship. It can be large or small. If this battleship is fully activated, can blast and kill masters below the 6th level of longevity. The only disadvantage is that it consumes a lot. But don't worry, Mother has prepared a large amount of God coins for you, which is enough for you to use.